This is the show that was so over their skis about Nico and this offense that we're probably a little surprised that it's not number one in the nation. So I know our listeners and viewers know that all too well. We both thought that Nico Iamaleava had a great chance to win the Heisman. Both thought that Tennessee's offense would be like 2022 heights. So now that I throw this out to you, that Nico can win the 2025 Heisman, what would you say about that now that we have a Heisman doled out?
Well, who'd you vote for? Can I ask first?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who'd you vote for?
I went with the young man from Colorado. Now you may ask which one.
You went with Travis Hunter. He was the only one on the ballot.
Okay. Well, you can fill in whoever you want. I actually had Shedeur Sanders on my ballot of 3.
Really?
And I had Ashton Genty after I did all my research. I just felt like the two teams that would fall off the furthest from what they currently were. And again, I change each and every year, but that's how I did it this year. I just thought that Colorado, if they lost either one of those two players, would fall precipitously. Whereas I think that the other players that we could throw out there, like Stetson Bennett, I think.
You mean Carson Beck? Because you always say
Carson Beck. Sorry, but I think those losses would be manageable.
Okay, I understand that. I thought it was a bad Heisman year to begin with, honestly. But I would go with yes. I think Nico Iamaleava will win the Heisman next year. I put money on him to do it this year. I was off by a year. He had some developing he had to do. There were some issues at tackle, but I think now Nico Iamaleava is on the right track. So I do believe Nico will win the Heisman next year. I think he's ready to go off. I think if he makes noise in the college football playoff, Dave, and this is the big thing. You talked about off-season hype being crucial to win the Heisman, right?
Yes.
What happens if Nico Iamaleava, not if Tennessee wins the title, but Nico just makes a lot of noise in the college football playoff?
Let me throw a stat line out there. See if we can come to a happy medium. Let's say he's 18 of 26 for 280 yards. 2 touchdowns. That's good. Not incredible, right?
But do they win?
I was hoping you would make me go there. Let's say result is undetermined at this point.
Okay. I think that alone, I would say, is not enough all-season hype. I still think he'll win it, but I think if they do that and they win, he'll get the all-season hype needed to win the Heisman.
See, I think that's enough, and he'll get enough. I think he's going to be one of the top 5 guys in the Heisman talked about for next year. I don't, like you said, coming into this year, it's kind of a weak Heisman field. Well, that just speaks to what it's going to be next year because all we do is over promote these guys. Chattanooga Mortgage, congratulations. Your home search just got easier. Buying a home in Chattanooga has never been easier. Chatmortgage.com. Chat with 2 T's, mortgage.com. Also want to thank our fantastic friends at Double D Piping. Double D Piping. And then this day in Tennessee sports history with Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker, the show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping, the absolute best.
Pick a word for me, Caleb Calhoun. If Nico Iamaleava doesn't get invited to New York, which is a loosey-goosey number, it could be 3, it could be 5, depending on how the voting goes. So they're going to manipulate it to get as many people there as possible. They think have an actual chance of winning it, not just having them sit there like a goofball. So Caleb, if Nico did not make the ceremony during his career would be blank in your mind.
Disappointing. And I would consider him overpaid. The $2 million man, he's got to go to New York once.
Okay. Do you factor in at all? Maybe it's an offense that's been caught up to other factors that could go into that. If you
I wouldn't necessarily be disappointing on behalf of Nico. It'd be disappointing somewhat on behalf of Josh Heupel.
No, I agree. No, I think at some point you have to be sure and send the message clearly, Caleb, that this is my offense. This is not Alex Golish's offense, right?
No, I totally agree. Do you find it disappointing if Nico Iamaleava is not in New York next year? Do you find his career to be a disappointment? Or do you think he'll come back in 2026?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and jump past that. I'm going to say that he's talented enough where he just plays 3 years in college football. So I'm going to go ahead and take that leap of faith. And I'm going to say that, yes, it's a disappointment if he doesn't end up in New York City. It's a disappointment not only for how they put together game plans or play calls or whatever the case may be, or assembled a roster, because this was your golden goose. I mean, this is what so certainly I don't think that's even a negative narrative, as some of those like to say in the sports information business. I mean, if I told you that Nico's going to sign this big contract and he's not going to be in the Heisman ceremony for 3 years, you would have said no doubt disappointment, Caleb.
Absolutely. Huge disappointment. Disappointment for Tennessee, disappointment for Nico, and maybe even disappointment for the voters if they don't put him there, depending how he plays. I think there's a great chance he turns into being a Heisman favorite, though, this offseason. If he plays well in the college football playoff, Dave, there's no clear-cut favorite going into 2025. So Nico could do that.
Yeah, but are there many Heisman favorites most years, to be honest with you? I mean, do we really know going into the year most? I mean,
Travis Hunter was always kind of the sexy pick going into the year. Caleb Williams was last year, but he didn't win it because he won it the year before, but he was a Heisman because he won it the year before. There are favorites. I don't know how often they win it, though, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so if you look at Lenore Sellers is one that's getting some odds out there. Garrett Nussmeier's getting votes. I don't know what they're just randomly putting people on there. I guess anybody. Nico getting some votes, but I'm not seeing any strong numbers. Have you seen any strong numbers to Nico could be a 15-1 or anything along those lines?
No, nothing yet. Nothing's really up yet. I'll keep tracking it, but nothing's up yet that I've seen.
What were they this past year? Because we were all over it.
When I took the bet, it was I think it was 15-1, something like that, plus 150. Or maybe no, it was plus 1,050. No, it's plus 2,500. Plus 2,500 was the bet.
Okay, so let me ask you, if that same bet comes across your table, are you taking it this year?
Yes, and I don't have a gambling problem at all. Yes.
Sounds awful when you say that, though, doesn't it?
It does.
I don't have a drinking problem at all. Yeah, I would too. I think if you can get it anywhere at 20-1 plus, and you think he's got a good chance, and good chance to me is a 1 in 5 shot of winning it, I think you've got to take those odds and jump all over it.
No, I totally agree. And I think you can get amazing odds with him on that. So I would absolutely take him to win the Heisman in that front.